All right, this is part 2 of you are not broken. You are becoming, and that stirring that you're feeling. And in my last video, I was like focused on the mind and how it plays out these stories that we have created about ourselves. And so this time I wanted to talk about the body and how the body plays that out. It's going to be an interesting video. Yeah, and I have a great story too that exemplifies like the chaotic story that we have going on. Like there's a story in our body that's being played out, and what the body's actually seeking is not the clarity, not the whatever. It's actually when you're looking for stability, you're not going to find it because there's something going on in the body. So I've kind of jumbled this up a little bit. And so this is about like when you're seeking expansion and it's not happening as quite as you would like because there's like this whole thing going on. And I wanted to like exemplify when our root is unstable, like our body is our root. And so when the body feels unstable, it makes things a little bit tougher. All right, so let's get into this story. This is like, again, more of like the whole bracing energy and feeling safe. And when we feel like something's off, that it's not failure. This is actually the perfect opportunity to invite transformation in. And yeah, it's great. So, okay, so let's get into the body. I have this story. This story is the emotional like stories that we tell ourselves. Like, sure, women of our age, we go through this transition phase. They call it menopause, which is like a really hideous name. But what I wanted to get into, I mean, yes, there's hormones a part of it, but specifically a story that I have. Now, I don't actually know what the story is within my body that's being held, but I know that when I look back on my family, there's a story. But again, I don't need to know actually the event that created the story. All I know is that I'm sitting here with this emotional, chaotic story that I don't even know what's about. And so how my body expresses this is I have this story about, and this judgment and this criticism, and again, it's related to my previous video about the pig, about how much weight I have gained over the years. It's an incredible amount. And I have the story that it's uncomfortable, that it's like, I feel like shame around it. I want to hide. And so this is traces of the pig. And I invite you to check out that video. I'll put it up here somewhere. And so when we actually have this story, I mean, yes, granted, there is hormones going on there because it is that stage of life, but it is also a place to drop in and say, okay, body, it's not that I'm going to go searching for what the actual story is because I don't know, because I know when I look at my family and the patterns that they have, this is going back a long time. You know, my mother carried this, like all of my family members are like this. They all have this belly, okay? Let's just name it a belly, a Buddha belly. And this has made me so uncomfortable my entire life. Like I've always had this little belly. And I remember somebody saying, oh, you better get rid of that belly because when you're older, you're going to be fat. No shame, no judgment or anything like that here. So it's uncomfortable knowing that this is here and not really understanding why things don't work. It's really a painful spot, right? And so when I see my body, what I understand is, okay, there is a story here somewhere. I don't know what it is, but what the story is it's an emotional, chaotic kind of story. It's something that's frozen, that there's tension there. And I don't need to know the story, what it is. I need to be aware of where I am not feeling safe. It is coming down to me is where my body doesn't feel safe. Where do I not trust that I'm safe? And that's the $1,000,000 question. So the body will do all kinds of crazy shit to show you that, there's something here and I don't know what it is, but I'm going to hold it until you look at it. And this has just been my experience. And believe me, I am not like a medical expert whatsoever. So don't, you could take it or leave it. But as somebody who studied acupuncture, I know that things come from emotional stuckness, chaos, whatever. It could be grief, it could be sadness, it could be anger. Stuff comes from this. Emotions do generate stuff when we don't deal with it. So the question is, if I want to expand and my body doesn't feel safe, how am I going to expand? Because my body's going to hold me back and says, hey, wait a minute, like there's something here that we need to take a look at. And so it's interesting that this is a story that I don't know that's living in my body, but I do know that the only way to correct it is to feel the trust and the safety within myself. And that's where all this emotional alchemy comes in, is because when you unravel all of this stuff, like even if I never find out what the actual story is of this, like specifically this emotional weight gain in the belly, the idea here is to cultivate the safety within. So that means you're peeling back all the layers. Like when I unraveled that story of the pig, all of that, just all the threads of that just kind of pulled away. And this is one of the threads from that story where you want to just shrink and shrivel up, and your body's saying, no, you're not going to shrink and shrivel up. You can't hide anymore. It's like right here. It's like glaring me in the face every day saying, hey, guess what? We've got work to do. And so the idea of this emotional power is to create the safety within our own emotions, that it's safe to actually feel these stories that we've created about ourselves from whatever happened, right? And so our emotions are powerful. Your body is powerful. Your body is the wisdom, because when we are facing this kind of a situation, whatever it is the body screaming, something's not right, because the body is efficient. You notice how that when we, like I cut my arm like 2 weeks ago and it's already healed. Like our bodies are super efficient. They can take care of themselves. But when there's stuff in the way, it has a harder time doing that. So things get bogged down. And so I wanted to bring this to you so that you can see how the body reacts to this emotional stuff, the emotional chaos. And like I said, you might not even know what the actual story is, but cultivating that freaking safety that you can feel. It's okay to feel these things and go through it. You're not going to die when you go into it. Like, can you imagine what, in my previous video, being afraid to face the whole story around being called a pig. And when I sat with it and my own process, and it was powerful. Like when I actually sat with it, I realized how much emotional intensity was wrapped around that, and how much shame was wrapped around that. Like there was just so much that, of course, these kinds of threads are going to take a while to pull out. So I'm not bringing this to you to say, you're doing it wrong. Hell no, you're doing it right. If your body's screaming at you like mine's screaming at me, you're doing something right. And you know you're doing something right. So you're not freaking broken. Like, yes, there's hormones going on there. But what's really happening here, like to simplify it, is like within my own body, I know the stress of my previous, like my childhood, is still playing out, and my body doesn't feel safe to stop producing all that cortisol. My body needs safety, even more than I already feel now. Like, it's not a one and done thing. There's deeper levels, more, deeper, deeper, deeper. And so when you know that your body's screaming at you, like, okay, something's happening here, I need you to look at me, stop thinking about it and start feeling about it, that's the power there. Because I know I have the capability that when I actually cultivate enough safety in my body, that my body will stop producing so much cortisol because it thinks it needs to be high alert. It needs to be performing because, oh shit, somebody might come and get me. Like consciously, mentally, we may know this. The body is still living in that. So we need to really slow the F down. Understand that stillness is not dangerous. It's the key to your freedom, to actually slow down. Stop. Stop producing. Stop performing. Stop being there for everybody. Stop pleasing those people and actually hear what you actually need, because every drop of you is screaming for more freaking love, for more safety, for more comfort. And only you can give yourself that. Like, yes, that situation happened with my mother, but she's never going to give me what I need. I need to be the one to give myself that, even if it's going to feel like I don't need that shit. I don't need to do that shit. You need it more than ever. We need to nurture every drop of us, even the parts that say, I don't need that shit. You do need that. And I promise, even though I'm living with the belly, it will settle down. When you cultivate the body, that it actually feels safe, that it can stop bracing and micromanaging everything around, like this is what it's going to look like. This has been my experience when I've been doing this work. It's like this whole, like, you're high alert, you can't sit, you can't rest, you can't really sink into the moment, you can't relax. You wake up at night, you're constantly explaining, to make, excuse me, to make sure that everybody, gets, a watered down version of you so that you're accepted. Two, watching all of that go by, like when things are happening and you're just sitting there and you're watching it go by and going, yeah, I don't need to get involved in that. It's like, okay, I'm okay right now. I'm perfectly safe right now. It is not my job to help that person. It is not my job to fix that person. When you can say that, you're one step closer. When you can actually pull yourself out of that chaos, you're one step closer. And so the more that you can pull yourself out, slow down, actually notice what's really actually happening. And I had a dream about this last night, that everything I need is literally right in front of me. I just need to see it. So if we're focused on all the chaos outside of us, that's the chaos inside screaming at you, hello. So when we actually have just even a little bit, I'm not saying that you just dive right in and you don't ever come out again. No, this is like a day-to-day lived experience. Even if, like in my last video, I talked about how I got triggered last week because my needs weren't being met. I didn't see it in the moment, and it's perfectly fine. Like, nobody's perfect, right? 12 hours later, I'm going to bed and I was like, oh, I finally seen it. I was like, oh my God, okay, so this is the place that I need to give myself more nurturing. Even if I'm comfortable as shit with it, I might not be able to accept it from somebody else. Like, oh no, I have to give it to myself first. And this is absolutely the power that we have, that we can cultivate this within ourselves. We can feel safe in our environment. We can take a deep breath. We don't have to jump and serve well, it's not even serving. We're only doing it because we're people pleasing. And we're taking care of everybody else before we take care of ourselves, when all we're doing, actually, truth be told, is that we're interfering in their journey. We are enabling them to not look at their own shit. So I invite you to be still. Slow down. Take 10 deep breaths, 20 breaths. Start taking 5 minutes to yourself and just sitting with yourself. And the mind's going to go. It's just going to keep going and going and going. And it's going to tell you all the crazy, critical, stupid stories like, oh, what the hell is this all about? This is pointless. Keep going. That's what your mind's going to do. And then eventually you're going to be like, okay, I want to feel my heart. And then you have to keep bringing, your mind's going to keep going back to your mind because it thinks it's going to die. So we need to just keep coming back to the heart. Even if the mind jumps back in, there's like, nope, we're doing this, and just keep doing it and keep doing it. Eventually, you're going to get to those places where you feel numb and where all this emotional chaos is living because we put a seal on it. It's frozen over. We don't want to feel that because we didn't know how to feel it back then. And so now that we're a little bit older, things are creeping up because it's time, we're safe. This is the time in our lives where we can actually nurture ourselves, feel those feelings that we were incapable of feeling back then. This is the window. This is the time. It ends, like literally it ends all of that, like overthinking and the striving and all of that nonsense. You're like living for yourself and doing things from your heart that you're excited about and enjoy about. And then eventually you just get to the point where you don't even really give a shit what people say. I mean, sure, people are going to fall away, and maybe they do need to fall away. Like maybe they do. When you actually put yourself first, people are not going to like that because you've been playing their little game. And that's okay. This is the game that we're playing with ourselves. This is how do I take care of myself? This is the game. How do you nurture yourself on such a deep level that you don't need anybody's validation? You validate yourself. That's the game. So, where have you been saying yes to shit when your body is screaming no? That's a perfect question for myself too. Where has the truth been quietly rising, but you're not letting it come in yet and let it land yet? Where can you let yourself unravel without the shame? Because this is the whole thing. Shame is a story. It is a story that we've made up. And if you watch my last video, you will understand what I'm talking about. So I really invite you to let me know if this resonates with you, because I think it's so important, these little nuances and how things play out. Like, okay, so yes, there's weight gain. Of course, we know all the health factors with that. But when the body is so busy gripping and grasping onto whatever it thinks is safe, it's going to do whatever, we think we need to do to save, whether that we're overeating or whatever, or undereating, all of that stuff. It's not just that. Like, the guts literally hang on to stuff. So if you get my drift here, if you are not if you're hanging on to stuff, you're probably not going to the bathroom as often as you should be. And so it's very interesting how the body tells us all this stuff if we're paying attention. And that's the key. We have to really listen to the body. Because the guts is tied into certain emotions, which is tied into another area of the body, of our lungs, which talks about grief and sadness. So there's so many emotions that could be tied in here. Like maybe we're feeling so much grief and sadness for the child that we wanted, or like the life that we really wanted, that it trickles down into our intestines. And then all of a sudden we've got all this gripping going on, like you're hanging on to anything because you need to feel safe. Like, that's how this stuff works. And so literally, this is the game and how we undo it. And to wrap this all up, because I could go on, this is exactly the work that I do in the rite of passage. It is, I'm so excited for this. Like, it's going to be incredible. If this is the kind of thing that you're into, I invite you to come along. Stay tuned. It'll be happening soon. This is the work that I do. I love getting in there. I love seeing the nuances. I'm not afraid to go there. I take myself through there all the time. And my pig story will definitely amplify that, where I went with it. Like, I went deep with it. All that inadequacy, all of that shame, like, it plays out in the body. And when the body expresses it, you have things like a Buddha belly. And you'll know it's not necessarily yours. I mean, yes, we're hanging on to that story, but like I said before, my entire family has a Buddha belly. So that tells me this goes further than me. This isn't just my story. I'm just carrying someone else's story. So again, it's not the event, because when you talk about like ancestral stuff, it can't be about the event because you weren't there. How the hell are you going to know, right? Like in this lifetime. So the event is not the issue. It is a part of it. But the real issue that we don't see is the story we've made up because of the event. That's the work that we're here to do. And so, like I said, if this is your jam, stay tuned because the rite of passage is coming. And this is where we're going with it. So until the next video, have a beautiful week. And let me know in the comments how you feel about this. Like, did it hit a chord? Do you see yourself in my story? Like, let me know. I love to hear your feedback. And it's okay to take the break off of all of this stuff. You don't need to do it. I promise you, you don't need to do it. All this performance stuff that we have going on, the striving that we have going on, you don't need to do it. You don't even need to do like one thing. Only do the one thing that makes you feel expansive. That's it. If there's 10 things you got to do and 2 of them make you feel expansive and excited, do those 2, forget the rest. I give you permission. And I give you permission to take care of yourself and tell everybody, I'm on a coffee break, and make it a coffee break for, longer than 15 minutes. Spend some time with yourself. Go sit in the park, sit on the ground. Enjoy how your body feels. Feel the earth. Just feel it. I promise you. It'll take you so many places. And that's another reason why you need to stay tuned, because when the rite of passage comes, we're going to be doing just that. So until the next video, take care and have a beautiful week.